Well, it seems like there are more problems with The Batman Part 2. The film is scheduled to start shooting this year, but now it appears the movie might be delayed again, and there's a chance Matt Reeves could step away from the project. Is it time to stick a fork in this franchise and just move on? Let's take a couple minutes to dive into the story, talk about the future of Batman in and out of the DCU, and why the time may have passed for this sequel and this particular franchise. Well, I have to say, when things get moved around in Hollywood, it's never a really good sign. And typically, movies that have been delayed over and over again, well, they don't manifest in a way that's very positive. One of Hollywood's masterful filmmakers is Matt Reeves, and honestly, his work on Planet of the Apes and the previous Batman movie are absolutely stellar. I absolutely enjoyed his version of Batman, and I know there's a lot of haters, but I like this early version with Pattinson taking up the role. Now, all this was doubled down on when The Penguin came out, which received rave reviews and actually invigorated the franchise with a lot of people who aren't typically fans of DC or the Batman in general. Now, earlier this week, there was a lot of chatter online that the film could be pushed back again. And more interestingly, there were issues potentially with Matt Reeves. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit, but when it was released, I have to say, I felt like it was a little, well, classless, and originally the story came from Grace Randolph, so that meshes pretty well. Now, what was reported is that Matt Reeves, or potentially somebody close to him, was dealing with health issues, and those health issues were compared to Chadwick Boseman, suggesting this was very serious, and maybe Reeves himself or a close family member was facing a potential terminal disease. We don't dive into that stuff, it's not our business, and Matt Reeves gets to battle these kind of things on his own without us sticking our nose in it. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. But these are the kind of things that cause directors to step away from projects because obviously family is more important. Now, added to this, recently on the Hot Mic podcast, Jeff Snyder actually shared his take on whether Pattinson joining the cast of the new Dune film is an indication the film could be delayed again. And because they're doing Dune this summer, he seemed to think that Batman was going to get pushed into the winter or early next year, which again would push it back quite a bit, and although it isn't a massive delay, it could impact the release date. Now, honestly, at this point, all the teeter-tottering has become exhaustive. And I am starting to wonder if it's simply time to step away from this, and there are a lot of good reasons to do this. First and foremost, the first movie was released back in 2022, and one of the takes on the film was it was a young Batman. At this point, even Robert Pattinson has joked by the time the next film comes out, it'll be an old Batman. And if the new film doesn't come out till 2027, which if it doesn't go in production until 2026 is very likely, that is an absolute monstrous time between the two entries and a huge problem for the film. Even at this point, it's been 3 years and we should be seeing the Batman once again. And I actually think all the buzz would have completely faded if it weren't for the Penguin series. And now additionally, this is an Elseworlds project, meaning this isn't the primary DCU Batman. And I am one of those people that I do see somewhat of a problem having multiple versions of Batman on screen. It makes much more sense to focus on the DCU at this point. And obviously, James Gunn and the rest of Warner Brothers Discovery kind of wanted to keep this project on path because it made money. And clipping that at this point would have definitely incurred, well, a lot of backlash from fans and maybe even investors. Now, short of adding Pattinson to the DCU, which I think is a mistake, DC and DC Studios needs to focus on their rebooted version. I really am unsure if there's room for two versions of the character. And if we have to wait till 2027 to get this version, well, when will we get the DCU version? Does this push back Brave and the Bold until 2028, 2029? That's simply too long. And with Superman coming out this summer, I don't think fans are going to be too keen into waiting 4 more years before Batman finally joins the universe. Batman is DC's biggest draw, and the whole franchise definitely benefits from him being part of it. I actually think this is the reason the Clayface movie was greenlit, because of its association with Batman. But I don't think James Gunn can build his new DC universe without not only Superman, but Batman and Wonder Woman, the Trinity. And he has said as much early on when they were developing it that they would be the pillars of the new universe along with Aquaman and ironically Harley Quinn. Honestly, at this point, I think behind the scenes, and to be clear, I have no evidence of this, I actually believe that James Gunn and the studio know what the issues are, know the potential impact of the issues, and might be simply keeping their cards close to keep Matt Reeves' business private, which I agree with, but may ultimately already know this movie is never going to happen. Now, I want to be wrong. I want to see Pattinson come back and get another chapter of Matt Reeves' world, but it might behoove DC to just move forward with this crime verse, focus on the villains. The Penguin series was a lot of fun, and simply distance herself more from Batman until they can develop the character for the DC universe. Now, we're going to keep a close eye on it. I keep telling you guys I want to be wrong here, but we need the brave and the bold to work, and that's going to establish a whole Batman family for this universe, which is huge narratively and creatively for that universe. I don't think they can wait, but it seems like at this point, we really don't know, and James Gunn is not going to show his cards. We're watching the sequel really closely. We're going to look for more clues. I'm curious on what you guys think on whether you feel like this movie is going to be basically scrapped, or DC has a plan and they're just holding their cards really close. Are you as worried as I am? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Now, before you take off though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily videos and we want to be your place for all the Marvel and DC news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently so you're really in the know.